outside a Victorian-styled home. To the uninformed person, it seems like just another architecture style. But the Victorian era was a golden age of philosophy, religion, science, technology, and literature. In fact, many famous works of literature from the Victorian era are still widely read today. The well-known monsters like vampires and werewolves were also created during this time. One of the most famous writers that lived during the Victorian era was Charles Dickens.
I was born in Lamport, England, a suburb outside of Portsmouth. I received my first schooling around the age of 5. However, I was already a substantial reader at that point. At age 12, my father was arrested for debt. I had to walk 4 miles every Sunday just to visit him in prison. This point in my life was actually quite dreadful. I was ripped from my ordinary middle-class home and school and forced to work in a shoe blacking factory. It was the darkest time in my life.
This dark time in Charles Dickens' life also changed his life for the better. It was this traumatic time period in his life that amplified his focus on abandoned children and orphans, self-pity, and fairy tale-driven plots.
Upon returning to Camden Town, I became an attorney's office boy, and it was then that I decided to be a journalist. I then became a freelance reporter at Doctors' Commons Courts. It would be around this time, at age 18, that I would meet my first love, Catherine Horgath.
Oh,
Hey.
Charles! This was also a crucial moment that defined Charles's writing style. He began writing freely with no worry of consequence, and also of courts, criminals, crimes, and punishments. Charles would also go on to marry Catherine Hogarth 6 years later and have 10 children.
I'm not sure why I fell in love with Catherine Horgath and felt the need to marry. In fact, she was not of nearly equal intelligence and had such a desperate lack of energy.
Charles Dickens lived on through his unhappy marriage and continued writing. In 1857, he met Ellen Ternan, who he hired to act in a benefit presentation of The Frozen Deep. They began an affair that lasted until the day Charles died.
Charles Dickens loved Philadelphia. He was fascinated by the organization of it. He saw it as more provincial than Boston or New York. He was also known for liking the marble structure of Girard College, which was founded after Stephen Girard.
Dickens also had notorious views on crime and punishment. From his years of being a court journalist, for instance, he did not like the Eastern State Penitentiary. He saw hopeless solitary confinement as cruel and wrong. Indeed, am I correct?
All around, Charles Dickens was loved and looked up to as an entertainer. But beside that, he had a very strong influence in the public in general. He was loved by everyone. Swan dive.